Groove City.
What's up? I'm Rich Furniss, and absent is my co-host Lefty, out sick, but I'm amped to have a super homie, one of the Disco Kings, feel-good record monster, DJ producer, Boogietraxx in the building, baby.
Hey, thank you so much. It's so great to be here. Seriously, it's an honor. I feel like it's been a long time coming, so super excited to be here.
Absolutely. We first linked up down in Austin.
Yeah, man.
You had me do a really dope party, but you are originally from
Staten Island, New York.
New York.
Wu-Tang, baby. And Wu-Tang and then Pete Davidson, but you know.
Do you feel like growing up in New York really influenced you musically?
Significantly. I feel like, especially during that era when, you know, especially with hip hop, also like growing within the house scene at a young age and hearing those records being played on the radio regularly.
Yeah.
That definitely influenced me, and it definitely helped shape me, especially like there's like the hip hop side, and then also with stuff that was happening on radio.
I was gonna say, did you start off as a hip hop DJ?
Honestly, like when I started off, it was in college. What was going on?
College?
I went to college at Messiah.
Okay.
Messiah College. It was in Central Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So like the DJs there. Well, so before that, like in high school, I wasn't really DJing, but you know, like every DJ does, they'll get their like, you know, copy of Virtual DJ off LimeWire, and then they'll start tinkering with acapellas. So I was doing that with hip hop records.
Okay, fine.
So I was like tinkering, going back and forth. And then at a certain point, what happened was when I went to school, the DJs weren't that great. No shade to the DJs, right?
You saw the need.
Exactly. Yeah. Hey, I was like, there's a need in the market, and so me and a bunch of my friends,
Entrepreneur over here.
Yeah, it's funny how it came together. Like me and a bunch of the homies, like my college roommates, we got together. It was actually my wife that booked my first gig because she was the head of the dances.
Okay.
So she got my first paid gig, and like
Love.
it was a DJ competition. We won it, and then from there we were able to, you know, do all the dances. So shout out to you, wifey. I appreciate you. But yeah, like we were able to get all those gigs because of that. And then a lot of my friends were getting married after that, and so it just developed from there. And then I became a wedding DJ. And then from there, I was like, I don't know if I really want to do weddings anymore. It was me and my buddy Nate doing it. And then
What was
after
your
that,
first sound? Was it like open format or?
oh, it was super open format. Also, it was like, I don't know if it was like big room, but like the popular, like that was the time where David Guetta was really popular,
Big
and like
EDM,
exactly, yeah, Calvin Harris,
builds.
exactly, yeah. So like we're playing that song Turbulence by Lil Jon, like a bunch. So yeah.
Circa, when was this like start? Like when was college? I don't mean to date you or anything.
Oh no, it's all good. I know I'm old and I'm getting old, but it was around 2009, I would say, is like kind of the official start of all of it. Yeah.
Same kind of time for me as well.
Oh no way,
that.
nice. Yeah.
I feel like Bloghouse, big, like kind of like it was even before EDM was really a thing.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. I think that's actually, so I was playing a lot of the commercial stuff, but there was like a couple of homies who were playing parties or like kind of like playing other things that weren't as commercial, but like that was like the Blockhouse sound and all of that. And like that was the type of stuff that I was like, I see like what's happening, and like that type of stuff. I started really getting into that towards the end, or like after college. So like Ed Banger, which, you know, of course, like they have a great plethora of records, but I was really getting into that. Breakbot, a lot of Justice, like all that type of stuff in that moment. It was like really, that's what shaped me to like where I am today.
I was gonna ask, do you feel like being exposed to those kind of records is kind of what shaped your style now?
Definitely, yeah. That, and you know, my first like really strong like house music or just music memory is seeing the One More Time music video by Daft Punk. Like that blew my mind. I was like literally like, up in Harlem, you know, with my grandfather, and we were like watching TV and checking out just like, you know, just going through the channels, and Galavision was showing the music video.
Yeah.
And I was shocked. I was like, what's this anime music video? Me and my brother were super anime heads, and so we saw the music video, loved the music, and then we got the record the same day, and it shaped my life ever since. And then I started listening to like Homework, and then like all the other things, like Alive, went back into the catalog, and I was like, I love this music, but that was held on such a back burner. It was like stuff that I enjoyed, but never really got to produce that or really get back into that until like I started doing like production in like 2017. So yeah.
Do you feel like starting as like an open format DJ? I mean, you're playing with you before, you're definitely a party rocker. Do you feel like that really helped you now as you DJ further to like understand different transitions and crowds and all of that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I think there's a sense of understanding like where the party is supposed to go. like and take different directions. I think there's some DJs who capture that, and there's some DJs that don't. But for me, I'm like, okay, I know I need to transition out of this. Like people aren't really feeling it. I tried to like play something that might be different or new. I might need to move on to something else. But yeah, it's definitely helped me understand and read crowds better. Doing that open format, even wedding DJing, like
facts.
Yeah. You're able to learn, and some of those crowds are like more difficult because they're
very
like
stubborn. You have a lot of different age groups, a lot of different demographics.
Exactly. Yeah. So honestly, like that has helped shape me become a much better DJ. I think as I grow more and more.
I think that's what separates really for me, like the difference between a DJ producer and a producer DJ.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
I think being able to take the crowd on that journey and understanding the energy and temperature of the crowd.
Yeah.
So what finally then pushed you into production?
Yeah, no, great.
What was the defining moment?
Great question. So when I moved to Austin, I think when everybody enters their local scene, they are expected to, go out every night and go, party, meet people, and be like really like ingrained in the scene. Just with like my career, my job.
How long after college did you move down to Austin?
Probably graduated in 2013, moved to Austin in 2018. So I think what also shaped it was I spent a lot of time in Philly after graduation.
Yeah. Philly has an amazing music scene.
Oh, it's incredible. Really, for real. Shout out to especially like post-COVID, like they're doing so many really cool things that it just integrates the community more. I feel like when I was in Philly before, there was a level of just like gatekeeping. This is like pre-COVID. Yeah. And I think because I wasn't going out.
I saw that.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
I saw that. I was down in Philly a bunch.
That's what I mean.
Circa 2010 to probably 2016.
Yeah. And it was just like, people telling me like, hey, just keep showing up. And I did do that. And I think, I kept showing up, but I never given that opportunity. So I was like, okay, well, this isn't working. So I decided when I was in Austin, I'm going to do something different. We moved in Austin in 2018. And so I realized like, I'm not going to be going out every night. I'm not going to be like able to do that, but I need to provide something different. I need to provide something unique and something that I enjoy. And so that led me down to doing production. I've been using Ableton for a while, but that was when I was drumming and I was using it like to play background tracks.
You kind of already had the musical background through drumming.
Yeah, I kicked myself a lot because I was using it. Like I had that crack copy that I could have been using and like creating beats and like doing all this stuff. Now I bought it. It's legit, 100%.
Right, hey. You heard that, Ableton.
Exactly. Y'all know, yeah. 100%, yeah. But for me, I was using that and I'm like, man, I could have started my production career earlier, right? But ideally, well, now that's not the case. However, I realized that at that point, I need to start like producing and making music, and that will help.
It's all a timing thing too.
Exactly.
Man. You have to be inspired. You have to be in that mode. You have to see the need. I mean, I had so many different DAWs that I worked with, and like I would mess around. I'd make like a lot of mashups and edits and stuff, but I was really never ready to like dive all the way in.
Yeah.
And then there's a flip that switches. Maybe it's because of a cause, a need, or whatever. You're like, all right, cool. Now I'm going to really go and put the hours in.
Yeah. And literally, like, honestly, COVID was right as I was kind of getting to that point, that's when COVID hit. And that's when I just like locked in. I put the seat time in because there was nothing else going on. And then I just started like putting out stuff. I thought I'd release it to like, a couple homies, and then a label picked it up, and then it just kind of evolved from there, surprisingly. And I think it's grown to something that I didn't realize it would grow to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? With like collabs with you.
What was the first track?
So it was, there's one called For Another that there's one before that. It was on Spin Cat Records by C to Afro, a couple guys in Greece, who are really, really dope producers. And it was Tonight. It was like a really slow kind of like 118, 120 type like disco edit.
Okay.
It was like really vibey, like really lo-fi. And that was like a really good start. I think where it really took off was I had a record called, I had an EP that came out on a buddy of mine, Jesus, who owns Super Spicy Records.
Okay. And
it was a 2-track EP, and it had 2 tracks on it that were really, really solid, and people just started playing it everywhere. And like it was charting on TrackSource and Beatport, and people were digging it. And I think whoever premiered the record on YouTube, his name's Gaz, it was getting a lot of hits. And I was like, what? Like I never thought that this would happen.
Yeah.
And so it just kind of exploded, and people were like, hey, like, do you want to send a demo here, send a demo there? And it just took off to something that I never really quite realized would happen realistically.
Yeah.
So yeah. And then here we are,
Yeah.
I'm here like in New York playing a couple shows, and like it's still, I try to remain humble because I cannot believe like where this has grown to. I think I didn't suspect it I think other people were like, yeah, I think you'd get there. But for me, I'm just trying to like, see where I can get in and, yeah.
It's so safe to say that new strategy in Austin worked.
Yeah. Yes, 1000%. Yeah.
I mean, do you feel like I don't know, I think there's a lot of people who watch the shows, a lot of students at the school here that like kind of wonder how they fit into the scene. I mean, do you feel like going out to everything or producing, do you feel like there are different pathways? Do you feel like one is better than the other based on your own experience?
Yeah, I think there's two pathways. There are folks in Austin who have really nailed like not just the DJ set that they play. Then these are strictly DJs, like they don't produce, but they have nailed the creative behind their like the way they look, the way that their parties are curated, like the art that goes behind it, the vibes, like the music. There are several DJs that are crushing that in Austin.
Yeah.
That I'm like, you know what, like they have like nailed that down, and like they know that whenever there's something happening, like if they're doing like a set out in town, people know to go to those things because they know it's going to be a party, it's going to be a riot, but they don't produce. So there is a route there.
I mean, they produce events. You know what I mean? It's like a different calling.
That's a good, exactly. Yeah. And I think that's a really solid pathway that people can take, if they're like, you know what, I know I can curate a vibe. I know I've got like a really creative way of making an event seem impactful for the community. Yeah. Definitely. And then for those who like, there's also a pathway of doing it through production. I think the thing that makes both of those, either intersect or parallel along each other is that you yourself have brought something unique to your market or to the table.
That's
literally,
it.
In Austin, like I am the disco guy, which like, it comes with its, it comes with ebbs and flows. Like there's some parties that are really popping, but might not suit my sound. Mm-hmm. But there are parties that are, and like I'm cool with that. That's totally fine. Yeah. But like people know, like if there's someone in town that would be a good opener or whatever, like for a disco DJ, I'm the guy, and I love that. Like that to me is like, that's great. The fact that I've gotten that recognition in the community is also really, really, really solid.
I think like the real big takeaway, and I love that you just said that, is I think a lot of people try to force their position within the scene, right? And I think there's so many different holes and gaps within any scene, no matter what market you're in. Are you somebody who's really good at creating content? You know what I mean? Cool. Like you can go ahead and document and, showcase these parties. Yes. Are you somebody who's really good at curating? Mm-hmm. You can do a label or curate lineups. Yes. Are you really good about aesthetics? You can go ahead and build the design for these parties. Yes. Are you creative? Like, musically, you can go and make the soundtracks for these parties and stuff. And, everybody always looks, and I think I was guilty of this when I was younger. It's like, I just need to like make this happen and do it. But like, you have to take the time to be like, who am I? And like, where am I passionate about? Because the passion comes out no matter what aspect of that you're doing. And you need to find what you truly love. And the exploratory aspect of that too is sometimes the most fun aspect of it, right? Of being like, all right, cool, I'm gonna try to produce. You know what, actually, that's not really my thing. Like we've had some guests come on the show who said that, oh, hey, like I don't really wanna be a DJ. Right. I wanna like help curate these parties and stuff. And I think really soul searching and finding what you're most passionate about will come across to the audience and to the scene, and you don't have to fit into one box. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and I think that's the magic, I think, of what we do. That even if you're not like the person who is like DJing or playing it, like that might not be you, and that's okay. You can still be a part. Like you can form a collective of like just creative people together and working on something that is like, you have one person who is like doing the design for the flyers or like taking the video of the parties and making it into like something that's like super unique and fun. Like there is so many opportunities that I think people can dive in and create these like bonds and forms of or groups that are creating these like very curated, very like high energy, maybe low energy, it doesn't matter. Even like, back before COVID, like the kickbacks are still really popular, but there's a vibe to that, even if it's not like this like rager type thing, you know what I mean? Yeah. But like there's a group of people who are passionate about something or a direction of either music or just a vibe, and they curate that and they build a team around it. Yeah. And so, yeah. How do you feel like the Austin scene differed from your college scene, Philly, and even New York? Yeah, Austin's different because like Austin is a college town. Mm-hmm. So like a lot of things that are happening in Austin, they I don't want to say they chase the trends, but like, there's two sides of it. One side of it is like you have to play what's current. So there's some times where there is a lack of, playing events that you're really like diving deep and doing like discovery of like, hey, like I'm going to educate, which I know that's a really strong, feeling in like the DJ community of like, Absolutely. How do I educate?
But on the flip side, it keeps me current of like knowing what songs they're listening to, but then also I can make a disco edit of it and then like refresh it or bring that to them, and they're like blowing their minds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
I know this, but I don't. Oh my God.
exactly. And they're like, oh, I've never heard this version of it before. Like, this is amazing. So
Yeah.
like there's stuff like that it also helps keep me current of like, you know, what are like latest trends, what are latest
Keep us
songs.
old guys, a young man.
Seriously, I love it. Like, I think that's the best part, I think, of living in Austin. I think it's that. So compared to that, I think in other scenes, and you know, shout out to like there's scenes in Austin, or there's groups in Austin called like, there's one Might Be Magic, which is really popular, run by Brett Johnson, who holds down like really creating that vibe of like, I'm going to educate. I'm bringing, he brings like a couple of DJs. He brought like Cynthia, brought like DJ Heather, like a bunch of really dope folks to Austin that might not come usually, but because he has these connections and he knows people, he's able to bring them, and like that does have a great impact for like the culture of what's happening in Austin.
Again, it's like what we were talking about, is filling that void.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? There's always a place there's somewhere where it'll fit in.
Yeah. So that's going on too. I think you'll find that more in like, you know, a Chicago or a New York or a Philly. Yeah. And then, but like my college town was just like, you know, it's Harrisburg, so they're just playing top 40.
Facts, you know, place for that as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, you know, you're here in New York right now. You're playing in New York. You know, coming from Austin. Tell me a little bit about how you started like traveling to DJ, because I know a lot of DJs who probably watch and people at the school wonder like, hey, you know, I've played all the clubs in New York. I've played all the clubs in Austin or Philly or wherever. How do I take my act on the road? How do I play in other cities? Yeah,
I mean, the biggest thing is like, can I curse on here?
Go for it.
Don't be a dick. Like, I say that from a place of love where it's like, if someone reaches out to you or you're reaching out to people, like start with the community first, build those bonds with other people from other towns or other areas, and, you know, start to actually build relationships. And what will happen from there is they'll say, hey, like, I'd love to come play to your city. Let's say you are playing those gigs in New York all the time, whatever. If you're able to invite someone to like come play, like whether they're in like Atlanta or Austin, a lot of what I've done with a lot of friends is like, we do show trades. You know what? It's funny because it reminds me of like the era of like, you know, I grew up listening also to like a lot of like pop punk and that, and like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like the DIY level of it where it's like you do a show trade.
Play my basement, I'll play your basement.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's funny because it's the same thing because we're doing it at clubs now. So it's just like, you know, gig swapping, and also like whenever that person comes through, like you show them love. Like, remember when you came to Austin, we went and got barbecue.
Barbecue. I was still thinking about that right there. Don't worry, we're about to hit some pizza later this week. So.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I've been dying for pizza. But all that to say, it's really building the bonds of community with other people. And like, as the thing is, as you're building something, people will reach out. People will like see it, and people will reach out from places that you don't realize. They're like, hey, I'm from Chicago, or I'm from, you know, San Francisco. Like, I love your music. Have that conversation and say, hey, I'd love to invite you out. Like, you crash on my couch or like whatever, do that. And then from there, you know, then you swap. And that's kind of how it works for a little while. And, you know, for me, at least at this point, I'm cool with that market. Cause like, it's just, I'm meeting friends that I've met over the internet. So shout out to the internet, but like, you know, you're making friends, you're meeting friends and people who are also passionate about the same music you're making and like the vibes that you're curating. But you know what I mean? Like, that's the thing that I think, you know, people miss, because it can be very like me sometimes, but diverting it to like, hey, like, we're building something together, and it's great. Like, I
think too, the music scene that I've seen throughout the U.S., and we talk about it for New York all the time, is in a really special place where people want those collaborations. And what you just said, be a real mother. You know, it's like people recognize when you're being phony, and people recognize when you're just trying to like build something for yourself and not for the community. And I think that really is what it comes down to. And that's one of the reasons why this place that we're in right now is so special to me, is it's at the core about creating a community. And like, people see that and feel that. And it's like, hey, if you're a real person, if you really want to push this genre of music or this, you know, style that a bunch of your people around you are trying to push, they're going to feel that. And like, if we can all lift each other up, we can be stronger. And I think the only other thing is, I think a lot of people try to fit into other markets where they don't fit in, almost like what you were saying in Austin, right? Is like, hey, like, you're known for disco. You wouldn't come up to New York and be like, hey, let me play your tech house party.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, hey, that doesn't make sense. And it's okay. There will be another party that's a disco house party that you do fit on.
Right.
And you'll meet those people. Like, I have a bunch of friends from all over the country, all over the world that play wildly different music than me. We still talk about music, but I'm not going to be like, hey, let me go play your deep house party.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
that's not who I am. And I think when I was younger, I was definitely guilty of chasing that. I was like, well, I really just want to go play in London. You know what I mean? Let me go play this London party. But it's like, do I really make sense for that bill? Probably not, and there's no shade in that.
Yeah. I think the beauty of that too, to kind of echo that point, is like, even going above that, right? I know that for me in Austin, like, I can't play hard techno, but there's a DJ named Jenna Shaw who's crazy. Like, she's awesome, and she's the person for that gig. But if someone reached out to her saying, hey, do you know a disco DJ? She'll probably reach out to me. And like, having that network of people saying like, and being true to your genre, right? Like, if you're passionate, I'm passionate about French house and disco, like that, and French touch, like, I'm the person for that in my space, right? But if someone there are people who reach out to me saying, hey, can you play a tech house set? Can you play this set? Can you play that set? And I'm like, I'm not the good fit for it, but I know a bunch of people who are, that are in my network, and like that then builds.
That's why you continue to build that network out. Even
exactly.
further.
Yeah. It's kind of like a pseudo collective where it's like, no, I know the best person you can get for your party. This is that person, like, reach out to them. And then, that's a warm lead for them, but then it just grows because everyone talks, like, that, how the industry is.
The
like,
music scene is super tiny. The people who are doing it in every city is like, I'm pretty sure we're in a group chat right now.
That's what I'm saying.
With all the guys who are doing it from all over the U.S.
Exactly.
And it's like everybody talks. And I've been a part of some of these other group chats within different genres where people will be like, yo, who's this guy? And it's like, he's kind of like, he's not super genuine. He's not really going to pay it forward to the community. And like, that shit will get out there faster than you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the biggest thing that I feel like I heard, to your point, just being in the music industry, is like, so-and-so? Like, that's how small it is. And it's like, of course I know so-and-so. And it's like, I hear that way more often, like, than anything else. It's like, everybody genuinely knows each other. And if not, I look to try to connect other people. Like, if I see two dope people doing something, I'm going to connect them, especially if they live close by, because then they can build something. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like we're in this position to help facilitate connections and just facilitate growth of music, of just like, what this music industry career is, And
I think that's a dope thing about our generation right now in music. Like how I say, like, I feel like we always talk about it in New York, but the US is like, it's really like our age group, right? Shaping a lot of the scene right now. And like, I think everybody right now is really about connecting people and about trying to find the right fits. And there was a point where I think everybody was really gatekeeping, and they were afraid of like, oh, well, if I introduce these people, then maybe they're going to do something without me. And like, at least the people that I've interacted with lately are like, I don't care, go do something cool. You know what I mean? I know we'll reconnect if it makes sense later, And I think that's a beautiful thing.
Seriously, yeah. Seeing that shift, honestly, from like pre-COVID to post-COVID, of like how I think with, of course, like, that was terrible what happened, but like post, everybody saying like, we need to all be in this together.
Yeah.
Like, there was such a sense of,
together.
Yes, there was a sense of collectiveness, like, hey, we've gone through some really tough times. Like, let's try to build, like, let's rebuild, but we need to rebuild it together.
Yeah.
And I see that sense of like community, like even in Austin now, of like people just, you know what, hey, we had time to like really build stuff and build ideas. Let's just go for it. Like, let's push forth and let's do it together.
Let's try it.
And then those clubs that were denying you are the ones like saying, hey, we see y'all are doing some dope stuff in like a tunnel. Like, do you want to bring this to an actual club? And sometimes they're like, nah, we don't want to do it at a club because the tunnel is the vibe, and it's genuine, right? Yeah. Exactly, So yeah, which is a trip, but like, yeah, it's funny seeing kind of like how the turntables have turned.
What do you have on the horizon? What do you have planned for 2025? And where do you see yourself kind of going with your DJing and your production?
Oh man, that's such a tough question. Honestly, I take it day by day.
This is why I love you, Boogie. I'm the same way, It's ebb and flow.
Yeah, it's like, you'll be working on something. It's crazy, y'all. Like, if y'all are like listening to this, like, you might be going through it, like producing something, and then like the next day you might get tagged in a post that your stuff has been played at like, Ibiza, or like, on some crazy like
just happened
DJ.
To Lefty.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Like, you wake up one day and it's just like, bam, like it just flips. So I encourage people, if you're doing it, keep on going and push that. But for me, I don't know. I'm taking it day by day. I think next year I'm gonna, play a couple gigs outside of Austin. I really want to get back into just kind of doing more production. I think I'm seeing a lot of folks that are
somebody a song.
Oh God, I am notoriously slow. I am more than happy to put it on public record because everyone knows. But yeah, like, but honestly, I think last year or this year, I spent a lot of time really like just pushing out, like trying to get gigs and, you know, playing a lot. I think this time around I want to be maybe a little bit more selective. I think because like the money is not like too pressing. So I want to be more selective with the gigs. I do want to play out more. Like I want to go back to Mexico City. That was a lot of fun. I want to go out to Atlanta, a couple other places and Seattle is another one that, you know, I've been reached out to. So do those, but I think really want to hunker down and really work on just more production and like kind of be at home working on more music. And I think just I've done a couple of vinyl releases, like doing that. I think like getting more like tangible music out there in the world and doing that, I think is going to feel more rewarding for me. I feel like I've been doing a lot outside or like gigging. Now I kind of want to like actually like make music for a little while.
I love that. Yeah, man. Home it in.
Yeah.
Where can people find you?
Instagram. You can find me on Boogietraxx. You can find me on SoundCloud, Spotify, wherever your favorite streaming service platform is. But shout out to Sound Collective. This place is incredible. You know, for folks who are watching this, I've been blown away like seeing this and just, you know, y'all are doing something really, really special here.
Thank you.
And I'm just honored to be in the presence of like this place. Like it's really, really dope to see what y'all are offering people. I wish I had this when I was a kid.
Same.
You know.
That's part of why we built it. You know what I mean? I think it's all about how we had said building the community and giving people the tools that they might not have otherwise to be able to create and, you know, make awesome art.
Yeah. Seriously, like keep it going because it's awesome. It's really, really dope.
Love.
Yeah.
Well, shout out to Sound Collective. Shout out to Boogie. Make sure you guys check out his DJ set, which will be in the link below. He's about to blow us away with some funky disco, cool vibes. Anything particular you have coming up on the set?
Just a couple of originals. Also, I hit up a couple of homies before this to send me some tracks. So you're gonna hear a lot of IDs that are really, really dope.
Even more of a reason to check out the link below.
Yes.
I'm Rich Furniss in absence of my brother Lefty. This is Groove City. We'll see you next time.
Peace.